Well, welcome to the Good Talk Podcast, where we remind you of the joy of life, the love of God, and the possibilities that lie ahead. Episode 64.
3 most important questions you can ask yourself.
There you go.
That's a big statement.
Well, 3 most important questions you can ask yourself right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Okay, with that disclaimer.
Yeah.
I was going to say, dang.
That was just too long. It was too long for the title.
Yeah.
How are you, Miss Jordyn?
I'm good. I'm still tired from a long, awesome weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Pete and I flew out into California.
Yeah, your first time ever.
First time ever. And the jet lag kind of killed me there the first day. And then coming back for some reason, it just knocked me on my butt.
Yeah.
And it's only 3 hours. It's not or 2 even, really.
Yeah, but besides the jet lag, we just didn't get a lot of sleep. We
were waking up every day at 3:30 because in our time, that was...
Yeah.
So, anyway.
First trip to California, what did you think?
It was gorgeous. I mean, the
beautiful
landscape is beautiful. The weather is beautiful. I've just never seen anything like that. So it was awesome. We were there for a wedding. Pete officiated a friend of ours' wedding, Jordan and JoJo, if you're familiar with The Bachelor. If you don't watch The Bachelor, you don't care what we're talking about right now. But they got engaged on the show, and 6 years later, finally got married. So that was super fun.
Long engagement. It's funny because when the show was airing, when he was actually on the show, I remember texting him. Because he looked like, you never know when you're watching the show who's leading, who's not, to the last episode. I thought he was doing really well, though. I felt there was a connection. I remember texting him halfway through the season. Dude, if you actually win this and get married, I'm going to do your wedding.
Oh, my gosh.
I didn't actually think that he would win, or even if he did win, that they would actually go on to get married, because a lot of them don't, right?
Yeah.
But they did, and I'm really proud of them.
Gosh.
We've got to know her, too, over time, and just a great couple, so wishing them the best. It was a blast to be out in California, get to be with some other friends while we were out there, and it was great. But man, it's always good to get back. That was your first, also not only your first trip to California, but your first overnight away from Pepper.
Yeah, that was so we left when she was asleep still, which I think was helpful because I think it would have been so sad to watch her little face as we drove away. But that was four nights. Right? Yeah, 4 nights away from Pepper. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a long, for me, that was a long time to not have seen her when I am the only one who's ever put her to bed and wake up every morning and to get her. So that was wild. It was just kind of surreal, but she was in the best hands ever with my mom and dad. And so it was really, they loved it.
So awesome. What a gift for them to be able to watch her too, so we could get away, just the two of us.
Yeah, it's like a win-win because they wanted to be with her more, and we needed to leave. So, but it was really, it was good. And obviously seeing her again was the best. So.
It was. And if you haven't watched our vlog yet, this would be a really good time this upcoming week to watch it, because we'll have some adventures from California, and we did some really fun stuff while we were out there that we've never done. And we just jump on YouTube with the Wilsons.
Yeah, we documented leaving Atlanta, which is where we dropped Pepper off, all the way through coming back to see Pepper. So those will be split up into 2 vlogs. The wedding actually will probably be the second one, but this Sunday coming up will be our first California vlog.
Yeah.
So check that out. We're loving doing it. It's been really fun. So.
It has been fun. It's a lot of work, but it has been so much fun.
Yeah.
Really fun.
Okay, so 3 most important questions you can ask yourself right now.
And 3 most important questions you can ask yourself right now. Let me give you a quick history. So I actually sent, I have a small group of people that I do personal life coaching with. And I really felt kind of convicted last week, because it's one of those things when you're life coaching someone and helping them try to reach all their goals and do life at peak performance, there's times where you realize in your own life, man, things just seem a little bit off. And I noticed that. I noticed over the past couple weeks before we went to California that things were just a little bit off for me. Not bad, devastating, not crisis. I wasn't in deep depression.
Not to notice, no one else would notice, probably.
Right, yeah. You probably did.
Yeah. I just mean
from
the outside.
But nobody else. And I just felt off. And I don't know if those of you listening have ever felt that way, but it's just where things that would normally be easy felt really difficult, and I just didn't really feel like myself. And I was noticing that, like, my writing times just felt kind of uninspiring to me, and it felt like writing was like walking in quicksand. And my life coaching sessions, I didn't feel like I was having as many breakthroughs with clients as I normally would, and I felt a little impatient with you, and at times irritated with you about things I wouldn't normally be impatient or irritated about. And I was just like, what? Why is this? So when that happens, because no one's going to live like like some people call it peak performance. Some people call it flow. I like flow, the idea of flow. You're not always going to be at peak flow where everything is just, like you just feel on, like perfect. So I realized that you're not going to live that way all the time, but it had been going on a couple weeks. And so I started to slow down enough to say, okay, what's going on? And there is I call it a game, although for sometimes in life coaching for clients, it may not feel like a game, but the game I call it's called Add, Edit, Delete. And I think it's a really powerful tool to help people, especially when you're one-on-one, you can really kind of go deep with this Add, Edit, Delete game. And I decided to kind of play the game with myself and say, all right, is there, because not being out of flow isn't always about something you have done, but often there are some things you can do to tweak, right, to get back into flow or back into peak performance. And so for me, I decided I'd play Add, Edit, Delete and see if there was anything going on with like my schedule or my life was there anything that shifted, right? Because even highly disciplined people, I've found, can have these moments where, again, nothing massive has happened, but they've just drifted without even realizing. They've drifted away from some of the things that they know are, important for them to do in their life in order for them to be successful. And so I kind of sat down and Add, Edit, Delete. You essentially ask yourself 3 questions. So I'm going to challenge everybody listening to ask themselves these 3 questions, especially if they feel like something might be a little bit off right now. And the questions are, is there something that I need to add to my life, right, that I'm missing right now? Or maybe it's re-added. Maybe it's something at one point you had committed to do, and then you got away from it. Then I say, is there anything in my life I need to edit? In other words, I need to tweak it a little bit. Maybe I need to do a little more of it or a little less of it. And then the third question comes down to, is there anything I need to delete in my life? Like, is there anything I just need to get rid of? Something creeped into my life that it just doesn't have to be wrong. It's like a sin or something. I mean, it could be, but most often this is something that could be even considered good in some circles, but it's holding you back. It's good, but it's keeping you from being great. And so that's why it's called Add, Edit, Delete. And so I sat down with myself and said, can you say that? I sat down with myself.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I sat down with myself.
So I sat down with Pete and had a
he was
conversation
really nice,
with Pete.
really friendly.
That guy, he's
love
just
him.
so nice.
He's so good.
Really like him. So I sat down
with myself.
And I was like, I'm going to walk myself through this. Because I don't think, maybe one other time I'd done this for myself, but I just wanted to sit down and kind of work through this. And so there were some things that kind of came to the top. So the first question was, is there anything I need to add? Again, maybe something that is new or maybe something that I used to do that I wasn't doing. And for me, one of the first things that popped up for me when I said, is there, when you think through your schedule, when you think through your habits, when you think through how you're investing your time, is there anything you need to add right now that's missing? The first thing that popped in my mind, I realized, was that I hadn't been reading the past couple of weeks. And that's a big thing for me. It's one of my goals for 2022. I was going to read a book a month. I was actually on par with that goal. I wasn't behind per se. But what had happened was, in this past month, in May, I had started a book that I didn't like. Yeah. And I read it for 3 or 4 days, and I just got stuck, and I stopped reading. Yeah. And I realized, wow, the past couple of weeks, you haven't been reading at all. And that's such an important part of, what I do. And so I had to make a decision that I was going to scrap that book. Like, instead of trying to power through, because I wasn't powering through, I just quit, right? And I hate doing that. I feel like a quitter when I quit a book and haven't finished it. I love that feeling of when you get all the way through a book, you know?
Yeah.
And what little bit I read of it, I was so skimming, and it wasn't worth it. So I decided, all right, I'm scrapping this book. I'm gonna get a new book, and I'm gonna start over. And so that was the one thing that I was like, man, I really need to add that back into my life because that's missing, and it's a real source of inspiration for me when I'm reading the right things, right? So that was what I figured out with the ad. Then when I asked myself, is there anything that I need to edit? That was a question that led to a lot more breakthroughs for me. And I find that true with clients as well. Sometimes there's something they need to add, and sometimes there's something they need to delete. Often it's that they need to edit the things. They've got the right habits there, but they need to tweak those habits.
Gotcha.
So for instance, I realized I'd been spending a lot more time on social media than I want to spend. And again, I didn't wake up one day and say, ooh, I'm going to start spending more time on Instagram and Facebook.
Right.
It just started. Like I started spending a little more time and a little more time and a little more time. And it was just, again, nothing wrong with social media, but it was very neutral for me. It was not helping me become the person I wanted to become.
Right.
And so I decided to implement a couple things there, and that was no social media before 8:30 in the morning and no social media after 6 p.m. And I'm not saying I'm going to do that until Jesus comes back, but right now in this season of my life, I needed to edit that so that, I could get back into flow, right? Another thing I discovered was my sleeping habits had kind of changed. I was staying up about 30 minutes later, and I was sleeping in about 30 minutes later. And the reason that's really important for me is because my most creative time is in the morning. So if I sleep, so let's say that I had about an hour of time in the morning for creative writing and thinking and brainstorming. Well, if I was sleeping in 30 minutes later, that meant half of that time I was dedicating to brainstorming, thinking, being creative was gone. So again, it sounds like a very small thing, but I was like, I need to edit that. I need to go to bed 30 minutes earlier, and I need to get up 30 minutes earlier if I'm going to get back into flow. And the third thing I discovered was my exercise routine. I was exercising. Again, I was doing enough to check it off the box, right? I know I have it on my daily planner that I'm going to have my exercise time. I was still crossing that off. I was exercising for the most part 5 days a week. But I went from 45 minutes all the way down to like 30 minutes. And some days I did a 20-minute workout, right? And so I know that a 20-minute workout for my goals, it's not going to cut it. But it was letting me check things off so I didn't feel too guilty.
Right.
So again, these aren't major changes. We're talking about 15 minutes in the course of a day for my workout. But I was drifting, and I wasn't drifting in the right direction. Right?
Yeah.
It's the thing about when you're drifting or when you're coasting. To be coasting, you have to be going downhill. And it doesn't take much to allow some of your disciplines and things to start to kind of get a little bit sideways.
That's a good point when you say to be coasting, you have to be going downhill. And often when you're coasting, it's not like a scary decline. It's like just enough that it's like a breeze, and before you know it, you're, way down the hill, but it doesn't feel like that until you're at the very bottom.
Right. You ever been out on a run before and all of a sudden you're like, I'm going a little bit faster. This feels a little bit easier. Well, it's probably because you were going downhill. And it may not have been a steep hill, but it was enough of a decline that it made life a little bit easier. And that's often what happens with our drifting. It's like you cut a few minutes off here, spend a few more minutes on this, a few minutes less on these important things. And it doesn't take much to kind of get off course with those things. So the question for you guys, is there anything you need to edit? Anything you need to maybe cut back a little bit in your life, or maybe something you need to add a little bit? You haven't completely cut it out, but you've been drifting lately. You need to be a little more intentional in that particular area of your life. And then that third question was, is there anything that needs to be to completely delete? And for me, there's only one thing that I could think of currently right now, and that's the news. And I'm not an anti-news guy, as you know. I actually enjoy the news.
You read the news, USA Today is your jam.
Yeah, I do love USA Today. Does
It's
that make me
weird.
old?
It's just weird. Like you'll wake up. Sometimes he wakes up at like 3:30 in the morning and can't go back to sleep, and the light from his phone is so
you
bright.
call it the Shekinah glory.
It's absolutely nuts. So anyways, I always roll over and I see USA Today. He's not like scrolling through Instagram. He's literally reading. Or we'll be like on the couch watching something like really entertaining. And I look over and you're reading USA Today. But
I'd like to edit that comment you just made. Because if it was really entertaining, then I wouldn't have gotten on my phone. It must have been really entertaining to you and extremely boring to me. And that's why I started reading the news instead.
Well, that's dumb.
Well, either way, but I've realized lately, and I don't know, it's hard to watch the news. First of all, it's hard to find unbiased news. So sometimes the news makes me really angry because I'm like, this is just not accurate at all. Like I know enough to know this is extremely biased. I've just found it's just been impacting me. And some of you say, well, if you don't watch the news, how are you going to know the important things that are happening in the world? Trust me, if there are truly important things happening in this world, like, you're going to hear about it. I can hear about the news from my friends. I'd rather hear their 15-second biased version than the network's 15-minute biased version. You know what I'm saying? Are you with me?
No.
Can I get an amen?
No.
Nothing?
No. So I agree with you. The news impacts you uniquely for some reason. Like Pete will be in the kitchen and we kind of have an open floor plan. So you can be in the living room when you're in the kitchen. So he hears the news as it's going on. And he's in here making his avocado toast. And he's like, oh, they said this for 3 years. And look where we are. We're not changing everything. And then you just go in this spiral of like a diatribe of like skepticism and being cynical, which is so not your personality, which makes sense though, why you would need to delete that.
But see, in the news, I think it's designed to do that to us. It's designed to kind of get you riled up. Right?
Yeah.
I think.
Can you tell?
So anyway, I need to just delete it. It's like, why have it like...
We'll be informed.
It's not helping me. I'm going to be completely informed. You can't avoid it. It's going to like... And when I kind of joke around, I say delete it because there's no way you can completely delete it from your life. It's going to like come at you from some other direction or source or something. But I can delete the intention of it being important for me to sit down and read the news or watch the news right now in this season.
Yeah.
And again, like, hey, if you're in flow and peak performance right now and your life is going great, then don't worry about it. Watch the news all you want. But if it's not, and you're slowing down enough to say, okay, what is going on in my life that I feel like things are just a little bit off? That's when you need to play the game of add, edit, delete. And I think it's 3 very important questions. What do I need to add into my life right now that's missing? What do I need to edit that I'm currently doing? And then what do I need to possibly delete? Yeah. That's, again, not necessarily bad or wrong. It's just not helpful in helping me become the kind of person that I really want to be.
Yeah.
It's not serving my relationships. It's not serving my character. It's not serving my time the best.
Yeah. I think it takes a lot of awareness to kind of be able to see those things. So I feel like if you can't see the things in your life, maybe ask somebody closest to you. Because if Pete a few weeks ago said, hey, Jordyn, like, I feel off, then I could have been like, if it was invited, my opinion was invited, then I can be like, well, I feel like you've really not been reading very much and you haven't been. So sometimes it's almost easier for someone else to see that in you if you're having a hard time figuring out if there's anything in your life you need to add, edit, or delete. So that might be helpful because sometimes the people closest to us see things a lot more clearly than we do.
For sure. That's why, honestly, it's such a good exercise to do in life coaching because you have somebody that's kind of walking through, asking pointed questions beyond, it's the questions behind the questions, right? The below the surface questions often that kind of get you to some of those deeper understandings. But if you're a fairly self-aware person, you can probably ask these 3 questions, spend a little time evaluating your habits. Maybe a great thing to do if you feel off right now is log your time this week and then go back and ask the question of add, edit, delete.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of how the iPhone, and we don't have Android, so I don't know if Android does this, but the iPhone every week will tell you how much time you spent on your phone. And it's always a competition between me and Pete's boys because they always like have crazy hours logged. But there was one week, I guess it was a week that Pepper was like, I don't know. Clearly I was on my phone a ton because I was with Pepper all day. Which sounds bad, but when she was really little, like sleeping all day, that was kind of what I did to pass the time when she was in my arms. But anyway, that was something that was really like convicting. So I feel like if I did that for my whole day, like beyond just my phone, that would be very enlightening and also scary.
Yeah. But good. And again, I know that there's some people that will listen to this say, but that just seems like some very small, insignificant changes to somebody's routine. But we've kind of talked about this before. Scientific research has demonstrated there's just a 0.1% difference between the genetic makeup of all humans. So at the level of high performance, right, it's the very tiniest of shifts in your time and shifts in your perspective that play a huge role in distinguishing the highest of achievers in all these different areas.
Yeah.
And I know it's crazy, but like we're getting dangerously close to being halfway through this year.
That's crazy.
Which is nuts. And some of you, when you think back to the beginning of this year, you had a lot of goals, you had a lot of hopes, you had a lot of dreams for where you're going to be, and maybe you're not as far along as you hoped you had been. Mm-hmm. This would be a really good time to say, okay, wow, like I just wasted a couple months here, and I only have about 6 months or so left in this year. If I'm going to hit all these goals, if I'm going to do all these things, I got to kick it in gear. Mm-hmm. Add, edit, delete is a great exercise to do halfway through your year to see what are some areas in your life that maybe you've drifted since the beginning of the year.
Yeah. I think doing those 3 things is obviously helpful, like physically doing them, like adding, editing, deleting things in your day. But I also think mentally it really just gives you a boost when you are optimizing your day because you feel better about it. Like you having a 45-minute workout versus a 20-minute workout, more than anything, your mind gives you energy because you're like, yeah, I just did that.
Yeah.
You know, or yeah, I just woke up 30 minutes earlier. Yes, I finally finished that book. It's like, yes, you're checking boxes in general that are better for you. But I feel like also mentally, it just puts you in a different playing field. And then I feel like it's just a domino effect from there.
Absolutely. And I mean, again, if you really want to take this to a kind of a crazy level, I just had this idea. You could break down the categories of your life and play separate games of add, edit, delete. In other words, here's my spiritual life. What do I need to add, edit, delete? Here's my my physical health. What do I need to add, edit, delete? How about this one? This will be controversial. Here are my relationships. What do I need to add? In other words, what relationships am I missing? Mm-hmm. What relationships do I need to edit? Maybe I need to spend a little less time with that group of people. And is there something I need to delete that it's just become an unhealthy relationship? So you could literally break down, a dozen different categories or areas inside of your life and ask that question if you want to get really detailed. And at that point now you're talking really about a life audit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put that. A life audit. Man. Well, I need to do it
good.
now.
Yeah, no, I'm going to do it with you.
Nah.
Nah, no thank you.
Better not.
I knew that's what you're going to say next. I love it when you say it again.
There's this movie line. Oh my gosh. There's a movie line. I forget what it is. I think it might be from Pitch Perfect, and the Australian girl who's really funny. Anyway, she's a comedian, and she says, sometimes I think I would take methamphetamine, and then I think, better not. Which is like obviously really inappropriate, but I always say, better not. This took a sharp right turn.
I think that's funny though. That's a funny story.
Anyways, better not. So, add, edit, delete methamphetamine.
Yes, definitely. Delete that entire conversation, maybe. Yeah.
Edit out.
That's funny. Well, I hope that's helpful for people, and you can apply that to your life. Again, lots of different areas of your life, actually. And if you find that helpful, share it with somebody. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, subscribe to the podcast. We're always so grateful to be able to share with you guys. We know we missed a week, but between travel and all that, we just couldn't make it happen. But we love being able to share with you guys.
Yeah. So subscribe, follow, all the things. And like we said earlier, we're posting a vlog this coming Sunday with our California trips, if you care. And then if you haven't seen our other vlogs, I think we've got like 7 up now, which is craziness. Dang. So we've done a really bad job of promoting the last couple, so we got to get back on that horse. So if you haven't checked it out, it is with the Wilsons on YouTube, and that's also where this podcast publishes the video version. So if you ever want to watch that version, that is up there as well. So
yay, perfect. Yay. Well, we love you guys, and that was another good talk.